Your AI agent just leaked a customer's social security number into a third-party API log, and you didn't even know it happened. That's the nightmare scenario nobody talks about when they're wiring up autonomous agents to handle real business data. So when you're choosing between LangChain and CrewAI for anything touching sensitive information, security isn't a footnote, it's the whole decision. Let's start with what actually makes agent frameworks dangerous. Traditional software has predictable data paths. Input goes here, output goes there. Agents don't work that way. They reason, they call tools, they pass context between steps, and they often send your prompts, including whatever data lives in them, to external language models. Every hop is a potential exposure point. If your agent reads a medical record to answer a question, that record might travel through an LLM provider, a vector database, a logging service, and 3 different tool calls before you get an answer. LangChain approaches this with granular control, and that's both its strength and its burden. Because LangChain gives you low-level access to every component, the retrievers, the memory objects, the callbacks, you can insert redaction and filtering exactly where you need it. You can wrap tool calls to strip personally identifiable information before anything leaves your environment. You can route sensitive workloads to a self-hosted model while sending harmless ones to a cloud API. The catch? Nothing is secure by default. If you don't build those guardrails yourself, LangChain will happily pipe raw data straight to wherever you pointed it. CrewAI, by contrast, is built around role-based agents collaborating on tasks, and that abstraction changes the security picture. The framework encourages you to define agents with specific responsibilities, which naturally supports the principle of least privilege. Your researcher agent doesn't need access to the same data as your finance agent. That's genuinely useful for compliance. But the higher abstraction means less visibility into exactly what context gets shared between crew members during delegation. When agents hand off tasks, the surrounding context can travel with them, and if you're not careful, sensitive fields ride along invisibly. Now let's talk compliance frameworks, because this is where teams get burned. Under GDPR, you need a lawful basis for processing and the ability to honor deletion requests, but agent memory and vector stores make delete this person's data surprisingly hard. Under HIPAA, you need a business associate agreement with every vendor that touches protected health information, which means every LLM provider in your chain. Neither LangChain nor CrewAI signs that BAA for you. That's on the model provider. SOC2 auditors will ask for your data flow diagrams, and with autonomous agents, those diagrams are living documents that change every time an agent decides to call a new tool. Here's the practical verdict. If you're in a heavily regulated environment and you have engineering muscle, LangChain's control lets you build a defensible, auditable pipeline where you can prove exactly what happens to every byte. If you're moving fast with a smaller team and you want sensible boundaries out of the box, CrewAI's role separation gives you a cleaner mental model, as long as you audit the handoffs. Either way, the framework is not your compliance layer. You still need dedicated PI detection, encryption at rest and in transit, and a logging strategy that scrubs before it stores. The one rule that applies to both: assume every prompt is a data disclosure and design accordingly. Treat your system prompt like a contract, your tool outputs like untrusted input, and your model provider like a subprocessor you must vet. If this saved you from a compliance headache, stick around. Tomorrow I'm breaking down the exact PI redaction pipeline you can drop into either framework in under an hour. So subscribe now so you don't miss it.